Welcome guys to the first of several WildStar videos for 2018. My name is Mystic and I'm going to guide you through the character creation process in WildStar. Now, if you've just downloaded the game and you're not really sure what to do or how to actually get started, this video will help you. And if you've already gotten started but you have some questions, again, this video will help you actually answer some of those questions and maybe even have you rethink about your character creation and start to create a character again. So let's get to it. When you first launch the game, you're going to be presented with a screen like this. Obviously, you will not have a level 50 character already, so you can ignore what you see currently on the screen here. Now, at the character creation or at the count login, you're going to see this create new character selection right here. Go ahead and click on that. Then you're basically presented with two selections. Do you want to do this as a novice or do you want to do this as a veteran? Now, the thing you have to think about here is the novice takes the perspective that you've never played WildStar before, that you're still learning or new to MMOs that use keyboard and mouse combination to move and orientate your character. If you played WildStar before and are just thinking about re-establishing a new character, then clearly go with the veteran route. The veteran route will basically place you right on Planet Nexus and starting off at level 3. Novice will basically start you at level 1, and by the time you leave the novice tutorial, you will be level 3 as you touch down on Planet Nexus. So let's follow the novice path just because we want to make sure we cover the basics for everybody regardless of their skill level. So you'll basically want to click the novice selection here, and of course across the top you will see the items or the milestones that we're going to go through in actually creating our character. So the first selection we made was novice, and you see it's reflected here. Then we hit continue to race. Now here's where we're going to get into the meat of what we actually want to do here, and by that I mean you're going to have to choose your faction and you're going to choose your gender. Now you can see here we've kind of defaulted to the female gender on both sides, right? And now we actually have to determine if we want to be Dominion, which is this side of the creation, or if we want to be Exiles, which is this side of the creation. Now, here's the thing. I'll give you a sneak preview into. The factions used to mean that you couldn't play with each other, that you were definitely separate. Now, they rethought that process when they did their server merges several months back. And I mean almost probably a year ago, I think, at this point. So don't quote me on that. Maybe longer or it might have been sooner. But either way, factions now can party together. Factions now can be in the same guild and can also raid together, do world content. At the end of the day, the factions now are mostly about preference rather than being like they are in other MMOs like WoW, where they're very distinct and different from each other. So take a read through on each one of these factions and see which one actually resonates more with you. Dominion, basically you get a real quick blurb on Dominion. Exiles, you'll get the exact same blurb. And then you'll also be able to see the races that comprise each faction. In changing the gender, obviously, you get a different set of skins here, right, to kind of match the gender. So, for example, I'm kind of partial to Exiles because I have so many Exile characters, and that was the first faction I started with when we started out in beta for WildStar so many years back. So, I like Exiles and also like the Orin. Now, here's the thing, too. As you mouse over each one of these races, you will see what classes they can be in regards to what's available to them. So within each faction, there is one race that can be every job. And for the Exiles, it's human. And for the Dominion, it's the Cassian. Everybody else will have a pair down in terms of the classes that they can be. Some classes or some races, like the Chua and the Orin, will be able to have a class that you can unlock as purchasable through the online store. And in this case for the Orin, is actually being an engineer is purchasable. On the Chua side, it's actually the warrior that can be purchased. So if you're interested in purchasing these, and if you have some money, and we can get into the currency of WildStar at a later video, but for the most part, let's just assume the fact that you don't want to spend any money on this game. You just want to get in, give it a try, and see how this game actually plays. So we're going to go Exile, and we're going to go Orin. Now basically you're going to hit Continue to Class. Now you're going to see here, again, I mentioned that you can purchase and unlock if it's available to the particular race. So in this case, an Orin can be an engineer, but you see he's got this little stripe with a plus sign over it, which basically means if you click on it, it'll ask you if you want to purchase this particular unlock. Right now, we don't. So we're going to be limited to Esper, Spellslinger, or Stalker. And you see here, with each one of these classes that you can choose, right, it will tell you what their role is, primary and secondary, or at the end of the day, what their roles can be. So let's actually tell you about the roles in general in WildStar. Right? You have, like, in essence, the Trinity: the tank, the healer, and the DPS. Now, classes can be two particular roles. You can either be, in this case, as an Esper, you'll be a healer, or you'll be ranged DPS. Now, the healing classes in WildStar. So if you're interested in healing, the classes you want to focus on in your selections are going to be Esper, Medic, and Spellslinger. If you're interested in tanking, obviously this leaves Engineer, this leaves Stalker, and this leaves Warrior. As you can see here, for each one of the tanks, they also have a secondary or corresponding additional function, which can be melee. So healers can be healers and ranged DPS, right? Ranged, and tanks can be melee and tank class. And so we'll get into like limited actions, skills, and things like that in a later video. But right now, we just want to focus on giving you kind of like a high level as to the classes and what jobs they can be, or what functions they can be, etc. Now, right now, I like a Stalker because they kind of hit like a truck, and they're probably pretty easy to level if you want to find something that's pretty easy to level, and you kind of are, you know, kind of drawn to like a rogue aspect of gameplay. Now, another thing you can do too, as you're actually determining which class you want to be, is there's also this options down here which says class armor previews. This is basically the first option here is what everybody starts with, early game armor preview, right? So this is what it looks like. Okay. Then you have mid game armor preview, so you can kind of see what your gear can look like for your class at mid game. And here's one end game version of the gear you can get. Now there's several different flavors of end gear gear, and that will come from the raids that are actually out in production today. So this is what one of those raid pieces or raid gear setup looks like. Again, for Spellslinger, this is what it looks like, right? So feel free to kind of, you know, take a look at the different set of gear and see which one you're drawn to. So again, we're going to do Stalker, and we kind of see what it looks like at the end game. So we're going to go with Stalker, and we're going to go ahead and just hit the next button. So again, explore this. There's a little bit of a write-up about what the class is, and a little bit of a video about some of their abilities. So we're going to hit next. Now again, we're following along here. We did Novice, we did Orin, we did Stalker. Now comes to paths. So what are paths? It's kind of new, right, for an MMO to have another choice to make just beyond your race and your class. You now can choose a path. And paths are, as put simply, they are side quests and missions. They do not impact your overall gameplay experience from the perspective that they will not limit your level 50 gameplay. They will only enhance it as you're playing, both leveling and at the end game. And here's what I mean. You basically have to choose one of 4 paths. Now, what the developers also have done with this is simply one character can now unlock all these paths. And these paths can be unlocked through another form of currency that you can buy and then spend to unlock. Now, back in the day, this used to be once you locked into a path, that was it. No more selections, no more modifications. So I am totally on board with the ability to actually change these paths. Now, let me tell you a little bit about them. Same thing like the class selection. Clicking on one will give you a little bit of a video, as well as actually give you a little bit of description about them. But I'm going to give you a little bit more than just what you see on the screen here. First, settlers. The reason why I like settler the most is that settlers have the ability to create power-up stations, as well as other types of constructs throughout the zones that they're leveling in. And the reason why I like this is just from twofold, right? First, as if I'm going to be leveling up, I want to have an experience booster that I can turn on. I want to have a run speed booster that I can turn on. I'm going to want to have like a campfire where I can get additional HP. I'm going to want all these things to help my leveling experience, and settlers do that. Not only do they do it for themselves, they do it for others in the same zone as the settler. So settlers by far are the ones that give back the most, and I like them. Now the settler path does require you to kind of find resources in the environment, collect those resources, and translate those resources into the things I just spoke about. So that's actually pretty cool and very helpful. The second class I like is the scientist class. This class, basically, you have a scan bot that you see here, and yes, you can customize your scan bot's look. You can put a pirate hat on it and some other things. But your scan bot basically is something that you can tell to go and scan things, given the name, and that will also scan like enemies. It will scan like the environment. It will interact with technology to unlock doors that only scientists can get into. But I think one of the major factors, or one of the strong reasons to play a scientist, if you don't like settler, is that the scientist has the ability to teleport people, teleport groups, right? Regardless of the size of the group, right? It could be a 40-man group, whatever, can teleport that group to the scientist. So this is really helpful in raid content and other things like world events and things like that, that people look forward to having a scientist who can actually teleport people to them. So if you like that, if you ever played WoW and you played a warlock and you played with a summoning portal, that's pretty much what you can do, except with the scientist, it's a one-time deal on a cooldown that teleports everybody to them. So a little bit more on that later. The other path that I like, so my third path that I find enjoyable, is the explorer path. This path basically sees you getting to certain parts of the map that other people won't be able to get to. It sees you kind of getting to high places. So if you've ever played Guild Wars 2 specifically, and you've used their, or you've kind of followed their points of interest or their POI system, it's kind of like the same thing. You're going to be going to higher places. You're going to be looking for activating, in this case, as this video is showing, like satellite arrays, communication arrays, and things like that. The other benefit that an Explorer has, you see this little flag right here? These flags exist in every zone that a Explorer is in. And what this does is it allows the Explorer, as they run through a particular flag, give them a short duration of speed. So basically their movement speed increases exponentially. Now, they can chain together many of these flags to make their movement speed really, really fast. And that's very helpful to get through the zone very quickly if that's what your goal is. But that's pretty much it about the Explorer. To get to high places, they get a run speed boost, and there's some other benefits to them, but they're not as strong to me as a settler or a scientist. The last path that I can't stand, and I'm sorry to use that phrasing, but the last path that I find the least useful is the soldier path. The soldier path basically is kind of like your leveling experience. You're going to be doing a lot of like standing and defending, and you already do a lot of that as you're leveling your character. So while there is some variation to that model, it really feels like your leveling process. So there's no real unique characteristics or unique benefit that you actually get from actually playing the soldier path. That's the path I've never played. Well, I've played it. I just find it very uneventful. So if you're not into kind of doubling up what you're already doing in terms of your leveling process, I say steer clear of soldier. Pick settler, pick scientist, or explorer. They're much more rewarding. And if later on you're like, look, Mystic, I think you're full of crap. I think warrior or soldier is an awesome path. Fantastic. At least you like it. I don't like it. But it doesn't preclude you from choosing this path, nor does it preclude you from unlocking this path later on in your leveling experience. So for the purposes of this setup, we're going to choose settler. And we're going to hit next. So now we come down to character customization. Now let me set some expectations here first and foremost. This is no way a Black Desert Online character customization system. This is limited, but there are choices. And by that I mean, when you get into your character creation or customization step here, you'll see that you can choose your face, right? And then you can customize this face. Now this is the only element that can be customized to this extent. You see there's a bunch of different sliders and there's a bunch of different variables here that can be adjusted. So that's about the limit of the customization that you can do using sliders and making your character unique looking for you. Everything else is going to be presets. And they're also going to be somewhat specific to the race that you're going to play. So for example, Orin and Chuas will have a ear style, right, selection, okay? While humans won't have ear style, they'll have something else in that particular spot. So again, you'll be able to do the hairstyle, okay? The hair color, you can choose these preset hair colors, okay? The eye color, all right? Let's see, what do we like for this one? I think we like a purple or green. No, I think purple is too much. Well, let's change the skin color. Let's swap it to that. Let's change the body type to this. Let's change the ear style. I like the shorter ears right now. Let's make the eye color green, and the hair color is pretty good there. The jewelry, you can play around with that particular look. You really can't see much there for the shorter ears. So basically, you can customize your character to this level. Now, let me also tell you this. If you make this your selection and you're playing the game, you're like, you know what, really, I'm not a fan of the hair. Not a problem. All these things can be changed through an in-game vendor, kind of like in WoW, the barber shop. But it goes a little bit beyond the barber shop and what WoW can do. Meaning, when you go in to and interact with this particular NPC, you can pretty much change your gender, you can change your race, you can change your hairstyle, your eye color, etc. It basically brings you back to this particular set of options for your character. And you can make those changes. So don't feel like you're locked in, like, oh my god, I don't like the way this character looks. I'm not going to be happy with this. I'm going to have to delete and start again. Nope, don't have to worry about that. The game's got you covered. So let's say this is the look that we want to go with for the sake of this tutorial. Let's hit continue to finalize. Now, we're going to basically get a summary. Let's review. We did Novice, we did Orin, we did Stalker, we did Settler, we customized our character look, and now we're at the finalize selection here. Again, this is exactly here. It's also represented here, and it's also explained in these breakout boxes here. So again, Novice, Orin, Stalker, Settler, following suit, Exile, Orin, Stalker, Settler, all explained here. Now, you also have to get into the part of actually naming your character. First name, last name in this one, guys. So if you have names that you want to use, fantastic. I normally don't, so I use this randomized button right here. So give you a first name, last name. And so let's say, for example, I like this last name, Soul Branch, right? So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to keep hitting the button. So I like actually Soul Branch. So I'm going to paste in the last name, right? And when I'm done and satisfied, I'm going to hit enter the game. What this basically do is this will bring me to a cutscene, kind of welcoming me to WildStar, and we'll actually begin the tutorial process. And that's where our next video will kind of pick up. So guys, thank you for watching this introductory video to creating your character in WildStar. This is again 2018, so this is the current character creation process for the WildStar characters. If you have any questions, please leave a comment in the video. Please subscribe to this channel, as many more videos on WildStar will be coming. Also, drop a like if you would. Additionally, I stream on Twitch, and you can find me on Twitch TV /Mystic813. That's Mystic, MYSTIK 813 at Twitch TV. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope you're enjoying your time in WildStar. And if you see me streaming or see me in-game, by all means, stop by, say hello, or chat with me. I definitely look forward to talking to everybody. Thanks again for watching, guys. I hope you're having fun in WildStar.